am so excited today to my Facebook audience and to everyone that is streaming. Please like this post, please share this post, and thank you for joining me this Sunday afternoon. I have the honor of having two probably of the most influential musicians that I have never met, but we have been kindredly in our minds together since day one, since I heard the recordings from them, since I was connected with everything that they've been doing musically. First, Kim Love McLendon, thank you so much for being on the platform today. And Brother Mustaqim, I don't even know where to start.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you so much for agreeing to even talk and have this conversation. I don't, like I said, I don't even know where to begin. So, Brother Mustaqim, you start us off, man. How's it going? What's been happening?
Everything's good, you know, just trying to live life and stay blessed, you know, in this coronavirus, but I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you for having me and my sister on. I'm most honored. And to everybody that's going to tune in, I'm just very grateful to be able to share some of my story with you all. Thank you so much.
And we're excited. We're excited to hear it. And Kim Love, Kim, where are you located? Where are you at now? And what's been going on with you? How are things going with you?
I'm Philly, born and bred.
Wow.
Still here in Philly. Everything is going well, and I just, just thank God for progression.
Yes.
You know, just always moving, always giving me something fresh and new. So.
Well, I'm excited that you're here. I'm excited to be talking to you all. As I was telling you guys a few minutes ago, Derek Campbell was the first person that I came in contact with, where I got my first musical taste of Robert and of Mustaqim, Brother Mustaqim, and Kim, and I was so floored when I heard the recordings. One of the things that really got me was just your advanced your technique, the way you guys approach the music, the way you all went into things that most musicians probably would not do. I know I was afraid to do it, but through your music, you guys gave me permission to do whatever I wanted to do. How did you get started, man? How did you all get started? How did this all begin for you?
Well,
you want me to go?
Please do.
I think my musical journey began like about 7, 8 years old. It started like Mustaqim was letting you know, I have uncles that play.
Right.
So it started with the generation before me. And I just can remember as an 8-year-old, my uncle, I can remember my uncle teaching folks in the living room of my grandparents' house.
Wow.
So yeah, acorn, coffee.
Wow.
Who was it? The Dix brothers, Sammy and Arnold Dix. They all used to come over, and he would teach them. And I'm a 7, 8-year-old standing there watching.
Wow.
And unbeknownst to me, when I'm watching it, it's just infiltrating me, my mind, my spirit, and I'm loving what I'm hearing.
Right.
And I'm also thinking, I think I'm intellectual, like pretty intellectual.
Yes.
And as a kid, I thought I was pretty intellectual.
Okay.
And I thought that I felt like anything I saw somebody do, that I can create the same thing. So I would stand there and watch them, and I know they had no idea that this little 7, 8-year-old girl was watching in order for me to actually do it.
Right.
No, they didn't know what was on my mind.
Wow.
But when everybody would leave, and it was just me, I would still think about what I actually saw them do.
Right.
And I would go find my uncle's steel and hide in a secluded place where nobody could see me. And I would mimic what I actually saw them do. So every rehearsal after they finished during the week, I would
Went into your own.
He didn't know I was messing with his steel guitar.
Wow.
I would go find the steel and just rehearse. I would rehearse it in my mind, but then I would go find it and actually sit down
and play
what I saw them do.
Wow.
So that's how I got started.
That has to be some love, because to do that, I mean, and I get it, because I came up being ear trained. I really never went to school formally for music. It was a gift, so I could hear a piece of music and just go play it. So I can relate to hearing it, but to go back and know what to do in your own time by yourself.
Right.
So how long was this secret?
It probably lasts for a couple years.
Wow.
I didn't, I think we moved from that house and ended up moving somewhere else where I had a brother, Gregory, who had a box, like a acoustic guitar.
Okay.
And he would play on that, but then me and Mustaqim and my sister would sing. We would have her singing. We would make drums out of books on the bed. The bed railing was the cymbal. And then his acoustic guitar was the steel.
Wow.
And we would find a battery, either a round battery or square battery, and we would have church in the room.
Wow.
So we just, kind of kept going with it from there. And that was always my love. And I always found a way, even though I don't think my mom could afford to buy. I don't know where I got my first steel guitar from. We couldn't afford that stuff, but we created it. We couldn't afford an amp, so we had a desk, one of the desks from school, and we put the guitar on the desk, and that was our amplifier.
Right.
So we kind of created, ways to do it without even having the proper equipment to do it with.
Wow.
And so that was just, I think that just came from the heart.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That is amazing. I mean, and for the steel players out there, if you've never played with a battery, I'm checking your steel card. I'm checking your steel guitar. If you've never played with a battery, I'm checking your steel card. That's real.
That's
like
real.
I remember my uncle Anthony, who's deceased now. He was a bass player, and he's notable. He was most noted as a bass player with Yolanda Adams and a lot of the greats back in the 90s, even 80s, and early 2000s. And Anthony played steel. He was a left-handed, but he played everything in reverse. And I remember once he did not have his bar, and we found a C battery. And I promise you, he killed it with a C battery.
Yep.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. I was telling my brother, we was talking and laughing about it a couple of days ago. And the other thing, you're not a true steel player if you pop your string and you couldn't take the little round piece at the end of the string, wrap it, rewire it back on the guitar and keep playing.
Come on.
So that was another secret.
Trying to stretch it. Trying to hold like you got enough string.
No, we really didn't cut our strings because we knew if they popped, we had to rewire it. We needed enough to rewire it.
Wow.
Later.
Wow. Okay. So we gave y'all 2 hacks for free. That's it. Oh my goodness. That's priceless. That's priceless. And I can relate. I can relate to both of those things. But man, to begin like that, to not have the right kind of equipment, to watch your family members play, and you just go in your private time on your own and just mimic everything that you remember.
Yep.
Wow. Wow. Brother Mustaqim, tell me something, man. So this is how sister learned. How was it with you?
Well, I was just a little boy, and I wasn't really interested in none of that. I was just a rambunctious little boy.
Mm-hmm.
And my sister, who was like a mom to me as well, she would put me in the room and put my hand on the guitar and make me learn these chords.
Wow.
And, you used to get blisters on your finger when you first started out if you got them virgin fingertips,
Right.
And she would make me learn these chords. And if you didn't press hard enough, she would make me press it hard enough to get the sound. And like she said, when she would hear certain musical things in her head, another thing she would do is she would put my ear against the top of the guitar and listen at this. And they called me Reds back then. And still do. Listen at this, Reds. And, she would play and my ear would be against the guitar. And of course, watching her play and learn. But I was like her little, understudy.
Right.
And she would make me learn little things on the guitar. I was very young. And, I didn't understand it all because I was just being a little boy.
Right.
I didn't even really understand the musical history of my family or any of that.
Right.
I just had Kim and, she had me and, she had this music that was always in her head. She loved the Stevie Wonder and all this little stuff. And she would learn the musical arrangements. And when she would learn them, Shaka Khan and all that, she would make me listen to it. And, that's how I started out, at the house over there on 29th and Lehigh, just trying to learn little chords. That's all. I never knew that I would be playing in church or any of that.
Wow.
We was just around the house and it was just musical. You know what I mean? So that's how it started.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you started, like most of us, we started in the house. I started as a drummer at 2. And my grandmother.
Well, wait a minute, brother Dante. Wait, that's another thing. All of us started as drummers.
Yes.
Because the old time folks, man, they ain't gonna let you just jump on those guitars, right? You gotta kind of earn your way up to the guitar and the steel. So everybody started on drum. I played them too.
Yeah, and I think it's a staple for most guitarists, most musicians, that the drums is where it all starts. So and it was at home. It was in the kitchen, and I think it was about 6 or 7 years old, and I started at church. And so when did it transition for you all to being from home and then just going to church with it?
I started. My love is the steel. So that's where I started the steel. But my brother Ronnie started learning guitar from one of the guys at the church. I think it was Paul Randall.
Okay.
He started learning guitar, and he would bring his big red guitar home, and he's the first person that started me out on guitar. So he would show me chords on the guitar, and I, started to mimic that. So,
wow.
That's how the guitar part started. Okay. And then, so like my brother, like Mustaqim said, they didn't let you play in church right away. So you had to really nail down everything at home. Right. So once I nailed down everything at home, I was a member of Bishop Coney's church when she first started, and the 2 in Philadelphia. And that's where I first started playing guitar. So it just, everything I had learned and ate at home and, digested well at home, I just carried it over, and, that was it. That's where I started at. At band number 2 in Philadelphia.
Wow, that's something.
For me, brother Dante, I apologize.
No, go ahead.
I came up. We went to separate churches. I went to band number 1, and Kim went to band number 2. And my brother Ronnie had left, and there was another brother, David Moorhead. He was playing guitar. And, you know, by whatever reason, you know, Dave wasn't playing anymore. So, you know, I was next in line. My uncle was kind of grooming me to be a little Ronnie.
Okay.
And he would, you know, get these 8-track tapes from places and get these cassettes. And he would literally tell me, man, you know, listen at these tapes and do what Ronnie do, you know.
Okay.
And I couldn't do that stuff, man. Ronnie was too progressive at that time in his plan, and I was just trying to play, you know. But how it started was, you know, my uncle had a high criterion.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you had to learn to play very well too, what they call devotional service. If you didn't know how to play that, man, don't even get on the guitar, because my uncle was the type of person, man, he's going to tell you straight up, get up. Bottom line, he don't want to hear no, and my uncle, he was young and fiery, so if you gave him any back talk, he might jump on you, you know what I mean? And so you had to know what you was doing before you, quote unquote, got up there.
Right.
And so I didn't even know if I wanted to play guitar. It was in me, but they did not have a guitar player. So my uncle was like, man, you're going to play that guitar. And he got a guitar from somewhere, you know. And I just spent a lot of times on the basement steps. And by then, Kim was living with Bishop Coney, so I didn't see her as much. And, you know, I had to play up under my uncle. I didn't quite fit in with it, to me, because, you know, some of the old heads played very fast. And I don't like fast playing. I can't get my thoughts together quick enough. But my uncle, he was real fast. You know, everything was fast paced. And you had to learn, you know. I had to learn and learn and learn and learn. And, you know, Brother Dante and Kim, you know, you definitely ain't going to start out playing on no Sunday.
Right.
Start off playing on
Wednesday night.
You're going to graduate to Terry service, and you better play Terry service right, because if you break that vibe up and they can't catch the Holy Ghost, you're in trouble. Straight up, bottom line.
Yep.
So, you know, you had to learn all this stuff, man. And you know, we played for hours on Friday, and, you know, Wednesday was Bible study, but you had to learn how to play in these different environments. So that's how my playing in church started. It started after my dear friend David Moorhead. And none of us had kind of money for music. The church bought the music, and I want to give a shout out to Church of Living Gods everywhere. Because had it not been for the good pastors and the saints, as we call them, I don't know what you call them today, but we call them the saints.
Right.
The saints put money together and bought music for the church that you can practice on and learn on when you didn't have nothing.
Right.
And you can play. You didn't have to have an amp. The church, now you ain't gonna have the best amp.
Right.
They're gonna get you what the money could afford.
What the could afford. That's right.
I got to thank God for the Church of the Living Gods, because they allowed us to practice and mess up until we learned how to be good musicians. So that's how I started.
Wow. That's saying so much. And I almost can, you know, just share the same sentiments to how I started, you know, with the same. It's, you know, you messed up, and your family, my family was the hardest on me. So if it wasn't right, no, go back and do it again. You didn't hit that 4-chord right. You didn't do that 2-5-1 right. You didn't do something right. So you know, and it was in my grandmother's garage where
wow.
that was that place for me. That was my sanctuary. So I would go in there, and I'm so glad you guys are sharing the perspective of how you guys started, because a lot of musicians need to hear it. I didn't get a lot of musicians that really poured into me. I just really was hungry for it. Yep. So I just hung around the best. You know, I was privy and I listened to the best. And then I was privy when I moved to Chicago, you know, to have my uncles and my whole family up there, and dad and and uncles and everybody. They were so musically inclined that I would just glean from them. And they put me in places as a drummer and exposed me to what music was, to understand the work that had to be put in. And what I got from you, even Kim, talking about how, you know, your uncles and all those that played, they were always, seems like they were rehearsing. They were always doing something where they were together and trying to work on their gift. And that's what I was around. So that home training was big, you know, and trying to make it right. So I really admire that. And then going into the church, it was kind of the same. You know, I had to make sure it was right, or they were gonna tell me.
Yeah, they were gonna tell
me. And that was probably the funniest part.
Me and my sister was joking and laughing, but we were saying that Philadelphia's churches, band number 1 and band number 2, was like the Church of the Living God, Jewel Dominion, Apollo.
Wow.
And if you can make it in Philly, you can make it anywhere.
Anywhere. Wow.
But when you came to Philadelphia to play, man, you better be on your A game, boy, because we were young and rambunctious, man. We might have booed you out of the spot. You
wow.
know what I mean?
Practically.
Really?
Yeah.
Hey, we definitely gonna sit down on you, man, if you couldn't get that thing right, man. And you know, people gonna be wondering, who is this on this music? Get them up immediately.
Immediately.
And so, man, it helped us a great deal, man, hone our little talent, you know.
Wow. Wow. This is so rich. This is so good. So going from there and you guys starting off, let me just go into the first time I've heard you guys. It was and I probably described the tape to you, Mustaqim. It might have been like one of those Wednesday or Friday night services, and it was you and Kim, and you all were playing something. I think you were on the steel.
Yeah.
And Kim, you were playing guitar. And all I know is you all played something and you hung on the 5. It was like you were singing a song and y'all went to the dun 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 dun, and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
And y'all start jamming off of the 5. I lost it. I lost it. And that's really what caught me. And I started listening intently. And then I'm listening to the stuff you were doing, Mustaqim. I'm listening to you, Kim, just hanging with them. And just everything, it was just like, wow. You know, sliding from the 5 to the 6, then going back to the 5. It was just like, whoa. You know.
Hey, Brother Dante, I don't know what the 5 and the 6 is, but you know,
listen, it's musically, it was just sound. Let me just put it to you that way. It was sound, and it's stuff that I thought about, but wasn't brave enough to do. And when I heard y'all do it, it was like, whoa.
Can I say this, Brother Dante,
please,
before my sister gives you the greater context?
Okay.
That style of steel playing came from me, from my sister.
Wow.
All of us that grew up with me wanted to be Bishop Harrison.
Wow.
That's what you wanted to be. Bishop Harrison was the creme de la creme. You wanted to be him. Not only, you know, did he have the best instruments, but for me, it would take away from him if we did not say that he was God gifted.
Right.
Because that type of music you have not heard since. And the effect of that music you have not heard since. Bishop Harrison was God gifted. Okay. My sister, you know, for me is my everything in that way. Right? And we played together. I always went to band number 2 when we could. We would slip over there and I would see my sister with a lap steel, right? And just imagine, man, you know, one of your heroes or sheroes, right? Right. She doing her thing. And, you know, back then, you know, the the sisters couldn't sit with their legs open, so you got to put a robe over your legs
right.
in case you get too happy while you're doing what you're doing.
Yep.
You know,
that's right.
the bishops wasn't going to let that go down, right?
It wasn't going to happen.
Band number 2 was the place to be. They always smoking, okay? Band number 2 is a small spot, and it's all, listen, I'm telling you, it's always smoking over there, okay?
Wow.
And so I always wanted to play with my sister. Always. I always wanted to play with her. We get a chance to play in Palmyra, New Jersey. I never forget it. And, you know, the spirit is high this night. And my sister looked at me. First song. Yeah, we got just a little bit past the devotional, right?
Wow.
And, you know, it's kicking up and we playing and I'm doing my thing. And then I look over at my sister, I'm hearing her, and she doing stuff on the steel that's blowing my mind. It's literally blowing my mind. So I'm playing, but I'm looking at Kim and I'm like, man, this is crazy.
Right.
What she's doing with a steel is unbelievable. The bar movement. See, she, you know, brother, y'all have pedals. We never learned to play with pedals, so you got to work that bar, and she working the mess out of this bar tonight, right?
Wow.
And so the people is going crazy. They literally shouting for 2 hours, 3 hours, man. And when we finish, I tell Kim, you know, that tune was so out of this world, I got to call it the Rock Force, you know? And now it goes all around the Church of the Living God. Everybody want to know, play the Rock Force. But for me, that was my introduction into playing the steel in that way.
Wow.
It was what she was doing, the expression of what she was doing, that I just took what she was doing and I just gave my expression to it. But for all of the brothers and sisters in the church that talk about Rob and how I played the steel, I have to give all of the credit to God and to my sister, because I would have never been playing like that had it not been for my sister.
Wow.
Her style of playing, which I just tried to emulate the best that I could.
Wow. Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing.
Wow.
Amazing. So Kim, I don't know how you top that.
I don't know. I just I have to say that like I said earlier, I first learned, my first introduction was my uncle, James Robert. But when I heard Bishop Harrison, that was unbelievable to me. I was like, my mind never even fathomed that the steel could sound like that.
Like that.
So my uncle was like more of a highs person. That he laid on the highs. Bishop Harrison laid on the lows, like he was, and that was strength to me. Right. And that caused strength in music to me. Mm-hmm. And so what I was thinking in my mind was a little bit of my uncle, a little bit of Bishop Harrison, mix it together with anything else I can glean from. Like my brother said earlier about all kinds of music that we would listen to, and that I would say, listen to this, listen to that. So I just was grabbing stuff from a whole lot of different places. And so the church music was kind of its own genre, or it's had its own feel. But my mind was always outside of what can I do that had the feel of Bishop Harrison, that had a little bit of Uncle James Robert, but it had a little bit of everything else too, because because I ate so much music. Mm-hmm. I was able to dish out certain things, and that mixed with the Holy Spirit just gave me the opportunity and gave me the green light to just go, oh, well, why not try this? It's not what Bishop Harrison would do. It's not what Uncle James Robert would do. But I always had the feeling of progression. I always wanted to progress, and try to find my own little middle ground to everything. So
Yes.
if you want to understand it like that. So that was my middle ground to everything that had been poured into me. So why not? Let's go for it.
Wow.
And then my brother Mustaqim, he just took that opportunity, took that crack door to just walk on through with all kinds of other lyrics. Like, okay, where you get that from? How we gonna pull that off? He was coming with stuff like, I don't know how we gonna pull that off, but I'm gonna go right with you.
Okay.
So from there,
Brother Dante, in my mind, a lot of times of that time when I was growing up, I was homeless. And I had, the only thing I could grab onto was the church. All of my friends and family were there. My friends was like my family. And I always heard this music. And, from my sister, I always liked songs. And I always wanted to know how I could put this song in our style and jam with it,
Okay.
So that song that you like, that Move on the 5, that was a song that my sister's ex-husband, he was my god brother, Barry Love, used to sing, take your burdens to the Lord and leave them there. He would sing it in the young adult choir.
Wow.
So one day I'm hearing it. And so I tell my sister, play this on a guitar. We had a bass player, Harry Deputy. I can't leave my guy Harry out. And Barry was our drummer.
Okay.
And so I would, like a maestro, I would, hey, Kim, play this part. Barry, you play this part. And then the rest is what we do in the church. Follow me. In the Church of Living God, you follow the steel.
Okay.
And so as it's moving and growing, those people that grew up with that, they knew what the song was, and they wigging out. I can't believe that they playing this.
Right.
And so all we did was try to emulate what the choirs would do. You know how the choir get on the roll and they keep rolling something back and back and back.
Yes.
And we just kept rolling that part of it back and back and back. And so after that, we had songs like Ain't No Need to Worry, from the Winans, and we would play that in the church.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And different songs, Thank You, Lord. All of those came out of songs that, I heard.
I'll take you there.
Me.
Yeah.
I'll take you there.
Yeah, well,
crazy
listen.
Right there. That was crazy.
Listen. We just took the hook part of it. Harry was the bass player, but Bishop Harrison, we like that deep bottom steel.
That bass.
So one night, it's going the way it's going. So hey, Kim, we're gonna do this tonight. But just imagine a person that you love with all of your heart. That's my sister, and I get to play with her every week. I mean, what? How much better can you get better than that? I'm playing with my sister.
Yeah.
And it's like everything we touch is turning to gold. I got to thank God for Bishop Coney, man, and Bishop Randall and all of these ones who was like our cheerleaders, man. They would look to me and Kim,
Right.
When I was playing before they came, I had Bishop Randall and these are people, man, that love to get it cracking. They don't play no dry service.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially Bishop Coney. And when we came together, it was just unreal.
Wow.
So this is, dear brother, I'm sorry, somebody's trying to call, but this is how these, what we call tunes, but they were really songs.
Yeah.
But one other thing, I'll never forget my godmom, Faye Coney. I love her very dearly.
Yeah.
And she took me in to live with her and her husband, Johnny, and all of her family as a brother and as a son. One day I was in her van and I was kind of depressed, and she was just playing, the Hawkins, Thank You, Lord. And it was in my spirit. I always wanted to play it.
Right.
But, time, circumstance, I got married and I moved away from Philadelphia and, things like that. But upon Bishop Coney's passing, very hard thing for me and my sister too.
Yeah.
I didn't know my sister had called me and said, "Hey, man, Bishop Coney left it in her will that she wanted you and Ronnie to play." And by then, I was in the Nation of Islam.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, wow, you know, but I got to honor the boss, man, the bishop, you know?
Right.
I went to my brother's house and I said, "Ronnie, I got this in my mind. Can you help me play this, you know?"
Okay.
And my brother made a recording of it and we played it. But this is what Philadelphia represented to me. It was a place that allowed you to be free to express like that.
Right.
The only thing the Saints was worrying about, don't bring what they call blues. You know, the old heads, everything was blues.
right. All that worldly stuff.
Saints.
Come on.
And let me tell you something. They're not musicians, but they got a discerning ear. You know, that is not, what is that?
They do.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But they were, and I can tell you, I'm serious.
Mm-hmm.
These, our brothers and our sisters that we grew up with, they was out in, you know, the church, and man, they would clap us and the spirit was high and they would be our support. But no better feeling to look and see your pastor looking over at you like, man, go ahead and keep doing it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so this is what helped us continue to grow and grow. And the last thing I want to say, Church of the Living God playing is a very spiritual playing. It really is. Mm-hmm. I didn't know it was spiritual because I was not what you call the spiritual person. But the Spirit of God was there. Mm-hmm. I tell you why. A lot of these things that we played was really on the spot playing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And for it to come out like that, yeah, that's God. Yeah. Mm-hmm. My sister's here, she'll tell you, we didn't have no practices at the house when we started playing together. Yep. Hey, we're going to do this Sunday. Right. No, you had a break in between morning and night service. You got something in your mind, Kim, we're going to play this. And then God takes it from there, man. You know, it's a blessing. Yeah. It's a blessing. Man. So, you know, that's some of what, you know, I experienced.
This is so good, man. It, you know, the reality is it really was. Sometimes we don't feel. There were times when I felt I didn't have God in me, and His Spirit wasn't there. Yep. But honestly, He was there all the time. That's even right. Even when I didn't want to acknowledge it, even when I didn't realize it, it was God. You know, His Spirit is in us, and when we do things that we can't even explain, that's how you know it's God. Right. It's unexplainable, and no, I get it. I so get it. Man, there's so many people that are watching right now, but I'm just honored that you guys are just doing this and here, and we're just having this conversation. And y'all don't know how many people you blessing. Seriously.
Oh, well, we're blessed from all of them. You mentioned Derek Campbell and Chucky. Bobby Willer.
Yes.
We used to call him Rock, you know.
Yes.
Bobby, I used to go to his house all the time, and he bust the tape into Chucky.
Wow. Uh-oh.
He froze up a little bit.
Yeah, he froze up a little bit. He'll come back.
Man, no, the house of God, man, they got it cracking, right?
Okay.
And I was like, man, who is this playing right here, Rock? He said, this is Chucky and Phil. You know, I'm like, well, who is Chuck, man, you know? And Chuck was doing this thing with the pedals. I had never heard it before like that, you know? And, you know, I started coming, you know, I got aunts and, you know, cousins and all that go to the House of God church, man, down on Hancock Street.
Right.
And so, you know, I would dip over, man, and get little tapes of the brothers, man, that was playing over there, man, you know, Buddy Boy and Lonnie Bennett, man, you know, Chucky Campbell, you know, all these cats, man, that had good handles on the steel when I was growing up, man. And, you know, at one point, my sister bear me witness, man, I started trying to dabble a little bit with them pedals. I had something I was going to bust with, but I didn't have enough time to put it together, man. Right. But I just want to say to all of the brothers that play in the House of God church, man, we have to be thankful for each other. That brother's passing was very deep to me because these are good brothers. Yeah. All of the brothers that play, Robert Randolph and Fonville. My sister introduced me to the little brother Fonville over there in Atlantic City. Yeah, but you know, they come up, they quicker, they faster, better expression. But you know, it's the Chucks, man, and you know, all these cats, man, Calvin Cooks, man, you know, and all of you all, you know, little heroes, man, Beard and all of them cats, man, that played, that gave you the sound that we can improve upon. You know, I thank God for all of that.
Yeah, man, this is great, and I'm sure Chuck is probably gonna look at this, him and Phil, and the rest of the Campbell family, man. It is so good because you guys influenced, and I'll just talk about me, but I know a lot of the guys. I can say this, that you all influenced us just as much as we had an influence on you all. I listened to you all so much. My grandmother, she had friends, and you know, I never really looked at it, you know, because you know, I was always so confused by, you know, okay, why is it Keith Demi and Jill Demi? You know, this when I was younger. So like,
we all won.
Right, we all won. We Mother Taste children. But I was with my grandmother, and she had friends who were in Church of the Living God, and she would always go over in Deerfield. We were in Florida at the time, and she would always go over there to them. That was another way. And say I didn't go in the church, but I was like outside listening to the music, and I'm like, Mama, who is that? You know, so I'm just like mesmerized, and just listening. So that I had so many different times where the music has just always been there, where I was exposed to it. But it's so good. Derek was so influential to me. He was a big brother, and we sorely miss him. I sorely miss him. You know, he was in Atlanta when he passed away, but he lived in Atlanta for a while, and Derek was that guy when he walked in with the other musicians. When they saw him, he was approachable.
Right.
They loved to come talk to him. When they asked him questions, he answered their questions. He was that dude. And I think that's probably what I'm gonna miss. Of course, him and I had a different kind of relationship because we always cut up, you know. But it's just that, you know. And he was my introduction to you two. And I declare, we probably broke tapes. And then he found some tapes and was like, okay, Don, this is what I need you to do. I need you to take this tape. I need you to put this on CD, you know, and give it back to me, you know. That's the kind of relationship we had. But it was so genuine. But no, you're right. With so much that we have and so much music history that we all have, you can tell the influence. You can tell, you know who's been listening to who or listening to what. It's the sound, and our sound is so unique. It's so sacred and different.
Right.
You can't compare it to anything. So I'm going back, circling through, you know, talking. I'm listening to the tapes from you all. Of course, until this moment, I had never ever met you all. Of course, talking to you just not even a month ago, and just our conversations, I feel like I've been knowing you forever and a day.
Same here. And I thank God for you.
I'm grateful. I'm so grateful. Because the coolness and the craziness of it all is the music. Just how smooth the music is just kind of, it reflects your personalities. You know, you all are really cool. I was listening to one of the tapes, and I think it was the same tape when you all were playing. And what I don't hear now, and I tell a lot of musicians to be keen, and you said it earlier, to what's going on. You didn't play a service until you were ready to play a service, as you said.
Yeah.
You play a service, you had to know how to navigate through, know when to go, know when to break it down, know when to bring it up. You just had to know. And you guys did it twice on this particular tape that I had. Somebody was singing a song, you all carried it out, and you just kept playing it. Another singer took the song, started singing on top of it. Y'all still playing it. Y'all funked it up a little bit, just gave it a little bit more drive. And when it was all said and done, the music broke down, and you slowly built it back up. You went into something else, and it was just like, who does this? And who does this way and so smooth and so clean and not miss a beat? The people, they were all, I'm sure the people were all in, because y'all went for a good minute. But I'm saying to myself, like, this is music. And the way you did it and how it was done, it speaks to the spiritual, spiritualness of it. It speaks to the discipline of you two and how you did it. I can't even explain it.
Mm-hmm. It was a collaboration. Again, you got this beautiful mind and my sister. You got Harry on the bass and you got Barry on the drums. And we have been playing, and I want to say this, to all the young musicians that I may offend, because I was very young and I was very demanding. I was. Mm-hmm. You would probably be very nervous to play with Mustaqim back then, because I was very demanding. And I shouldn't have been that way, but that was just my expression, but it was a collaboration. Not only did you have musicians, but we had family, and the church was like a family, So when we came to church in Philadelphia, man, we came to have a good time, bottom line.
Right.
And you ain't really have to do much, because they're going to already be crashing when you get there.
Right.
Me and my sister was talking, and me and my brother James, we were talking. When you came to Philadelphia band #1 in those days, you had to get there on time or early, because if not, man, you're going to be sitting almost outside in the hallway.
Yeah.
That's how many people was at the church.
Wow.
And you had this good time, and these are your family and your friends. And so it's not hard in an atmosphere like that, if God blesses you and you got some talent. It's not hard to do that. Now, these tunes that we were playing, again, God blessed me, and I'm sure he blessed my sister, and it's all.
Yeah.
We didn't even see it like that. I didn't know that 20, 30 years later, somebody would say, hey, Mustaqim, man, we enjoyed your playing. I didn't play it for that. But, these are things that God gave you.
Yeah.
And you had a support base. Again, before my sister, I know she has something to say, but I want to say to every musician, it's nothing that we did by ourselves. Mm-hmm. Somebody has to internalize what you're doing.
Yeah.
And somebody has to sit out there in that audience and be touched by what you're doing. And somebody got to help you do what you're doing.
Right.
Until God blesses you to be whoever you're going to be. So if you plan or I play, and somebody starts to shout, or somebody is touched by it, or somebody raised their hand and said, play it, or keep going, that is a helper to what you're doing.
Yeah.
And I don't want to sound too up there, but as I get older, I understand now that it's more of what God did and less of what Mustaqim had. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
the old folks always used to tell us, if you get too haughty, you could lose what God gave you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. Or they would tell you God is going to take it from you. And I'm going to tell you something. I've grown up with several brothers that I see that don't have the musical ability that they did have when they were playing for God.
Wow.
That's real talk. And so I'm honored that you all loved it.
Yes.
But, we got to give credit to where credit is due, man. At the Church of the Living God, period. All of your friends and all of your family that sit there and make you be a better person and make you play in the spirit, as they called it, when I didn't even know what that was, I'm just happy I had talent. God blessed me. He did. But it was that atmosphere, man. Philadelphia, band #1. Philadelphia band number 2 coming together to make one. Oh, brother, if I could go back just for one day, man, and just live it all over again, just one night back.
You about to start something.
Everybody.
You about to start something, man. You about to start.
Oh man,
I feel somebody about to put something on.
Go ahead, Kim. I know you wanted to say something.
I was listening at Brother Dante talk about a musical experience that he had with listening to us, and I try to express this to the guys that I'm playing with today. Music tells a story, and you can't start the story at the end. You got to start the story that you're trying to tell at the beginning. And throughout the story, there's highs, there's lows, there's rivers, and you got musically, you feel all of that as you're journeying through. So what you were hearing, and we probably didn't even realize it at that time, were the highs and the lows and the wideness and the narrowing of the music. And it takes craft, it takes, the Holy Spirit that kind of, helps the hearers to hear that story, internalize it. And that's what you call getting happy or moving under the Holy Spirit. That's, that's music. It has to journey. You can't rush right into it. And sometimes you can't lay up off of it. You just gotta, I guess it took years and years of that experience to help us develop that sensitivity to be able to flow with music like that. And that's only a gift from God. It wasn't nothing about me, so I can't take no credit for that. Even like Mustaqim said earlier, even when I didn't realize that it was, when I didn't think I was so spiritual, the Holy Spirit was still doing it anyway, through the giftings that the Holy Spirit had given me, had given all of us. You don't realize it at that time. That was a different place and different time, and thank God for that different place and different time. But thank God for that, the journey and just walking through to where I am now and just looking back at it and hear you describing certain things, is incredible. It makes me thank God even more. So
it was real. It touched musically, you all did like a transformation to me. The way I thought about it, especially on the steel, because I play other instruments, but it took me to a different place because of what you guys were doing. And I know it was all of what you just said, that's why it's almost indescribable,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's the beauty. I have to bring this guy up because he was a great influence on me. Glenn Lee.
Okay.
Remember Glenn?
Oh wow,
yeah,
man! I gotta talk about my guy Glenn.
I have to bring up Glenn, and I have to bring him up because Glenn was another reason why Glenn was the first person who actually let me hear a Bishop Harrison tape. And Glenn, when I had a tape of Chuck that he didn't have, Chucky Campbell, and Glenn was like, "Look, I gotta have that tape." I said, "Well, you're gonna have to give me some Harrison." And Glenn was so, all right, baby. Here, he gave me the tape. We switched, and it was a cool ordeal. But Glenn was that dude, that was just versed,
Very much so.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Glenn. Alvin, his brother, loved you guys. He loves you guys so much. But he talks about you all so much. But Glenn was like, I saw tapes or videos of him and Ronnie, you and all of you all together, just doing things. What was it like working with Glenn?
It gave the music. He always gave the music another little spin. He always gave it a different flavor. And since he he was the keyboardist with us.
Right.
So it opened I thought it opened the music up a little bit more, something that you didn't even think that could probably match in a certain place.
Right.
Just having that extra flair I thought he was pretty much a genius, a musical genius.
Yeah.
He you know, and he fit right in. He knew how to come into our world. Wow. So when he came and played with us, he knew how to come into our world and, you know, do what he does in a totally different setting. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. They don't know how to go in a whole different setting and still be themselves, but transform to the setting that they're in. And right. I really admired that about him.
Yeah, yeah.
My introduction to Glenn is when our dear Bishop Manning brought him along to play the keyboard for her. Mm-hmm. And I'm gonna tell you why I loved Glenn. You know, I was used to Faye. And Faye, no, I'm serious, man. Faye was everything. You had to really be able to peep her.
Right.
Especially when she was younger, man. You know, we used to have outdoor services on 17th Street. And I remember Johnny and Gene and all them bringing that big organ outside, and Faye would work that thing out, pedals and the whole kit, okay? Wow. So in the 70s, man, Faye was doing her thing. And I remember when Bishop Harrison wanted to add a little pop to his sound or something different, he actually started playing with Faye and let Faye play with him. Wow. And they had a whole difference, man. You should tell Ronnie to let you hear some of them tapes. Bishop Harrison, Faye, and Ronnie, man. Oh, man, this woman was something, okay? Wow. Now, Glenn comes in. Glenn started playing for Bishop Manning. She had these songs and things in her head that God was gifting her with. And Glenn was playing keyboard, and he was doing all of this stuff on the keyboard. I had stopped playing steel by then, and I was playing guitar with Ronnie. Okay. Which was another transition for me that was kind of difficult because I came from Philadelphia. Now you got to go to Indianapolis, and that's a different style of playing. You know, my brother played with Bishop Harrison. They got a style, him and Reverend Burns, and you know, I'm a little bit more free-spirited, if that's a good way to term it. Right. So I had to kind of fit into something. Right. Now Glenn is here and is trying to progress. Bishop Manning is progressing on certain things, and Glenn is doing what he's doing. So I'm like, hey, Glenn, man, show me that chord on the keyboard on the guitar. Wow. So Glenn would show me different chords that when he wasn't there, I could play Bishop Manning's songs with these quote unquote progressive chords, keyboard chords. Right. And that's what Glenn, and he would always be so cool with it, man. And when we would play together, man, he would always look at me, man. And when I would do something that he showed me and it blended well, he would smile or he would shout. You know, Glenn was my guy, man. I'm telling you, I loved Glenn in that manner. I didn't know how to take his keyboard playing at first because it didn't sync at first. Yeah. Because we wasn't used to playing with him and he wasn't used to playing with us. But as it went on, it became a very good thing for me because it opened up my guitar playing. You have to understand, and I know that you do, but back when I was coming up, you know, we was forbidden to listen to jazz and all of that old type of stuff. The old saints didn't, you know, and I stayed with Bishop Randall and all of these people, man, and they wasn't with none of that type of stuff.
That's sure. That's of the devil.
And the first progressive chord, man, I promise you, and the first progressive chords that I heard that was outside of the norm came from Brother Gamil. He used to do these little jazz little moves. And we would be in the audience like, man, that's my guy. You know, where did, you know, Gary get that from? And, you know, and then when him and Ronnie and Laban played, we thought they was going to be the next trio because they gelled together so much and they had little things that they did on their level. But Gary really introduced me to different chords on the guitar. But Glenn introduced me to those choir chords or these progressive chords that took my playing a little bit higher, in my opinion, And I will forever love him for that. Not one time did I ever ask him that. He never had an attitude. None of that stuff. Glenn was a cool brother, man. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
Love you, Glenn.
Yeah, that was Glenn.
Love you, Glenn.
That was Glenn. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. This is so good, man. I don't even know. I don't even know where to go from here. But this is so good. I mean, because there's so much history in here, and just the way things were shaped and how we took it and just went forth with it is what it is. So I could talk music for days, and I know you all have lives and got things to do, but and I hope this is not the last time that we do something like this, and we can get on and maybe even do some things demonstration wise or whatever in the near future. But we'll talk about all that stuff. But if there was, and you alluded to certain things earlier in the conversation, Mustaqim, if there's something that you could leave with a lot of these younger musicians, what would it be?
To stay encouraged, believe in God and believe in yourself. The other week you had Curtis on and Jairus, and I remember Curtis as a very young boy. We would play and he would be looking. He comes from a very musical family, so he was going to do something anyway. You know, but I watched his progression. I remember he started playing drum, and when I heard him again, he was just cold on the drum. Then he was on the keyboard. Then he on the guitar. Then he's singing, because you know his moms can blow and his father can sing.
Yes.
You know, no, this is real talk, man. I'm serious. His father played bass with us, Jane Robert, me, and his father, Bishop Chambers. He played bass. I want to leave with them, you know, stay encouraged.
Yeah. Believe
in God and believe in yourself and stick with it. But give that music what it is due. You know, one of the things that I thank God for is that the church gave me a home, and it gave me a place to develop my talent and develop my guitar playing. And it's something that I have to this day that will never leave me. And I guarantee each and every one of them that are out there, if they devote their playing to God, God will bless them, not just now, but forever.
Yeah.
Not now, but forever. So stay encouraged and keep on keeping on.
Wow. That's awesome. Kim?
So I got to start with this, even though I didn't know the magnitude of it throughout my life, but it's learn God, because that's where everything flows from. Yeah. So learn God first, and then learn your craft. Right. Always study it. If you're serious about it, always study it. Always be progressive. Don't ever stay at the same phase for too long. Work that one phase, move on to another phase. Like, always develop yourself. Always be, forever developing. I was thinking about, just before getting on, I was thinking about, you always want to push the next generation much further than where I always want to push the next generation much further than where I've ever gone. Right. I think about Jairus. I think about Thaddeus. And I admired that. I want somebody that I can admire. You know what I'm saying? Another generation who took the seed of whatever it was we were doing and just took it to another level. Curtis Chambers, like, I admire these guys now because I see the seed that we planted the seeds. Yeah. They were able to grab hold to it, take it to a whole nother level, and then God is giving them the increase. So, just always make sure that God is at the center of it, and everything that comes out of you is going to be amazing. Yeah.
Man, Dante, I'll be remiss in my duty, and that's why I don't like to call names, but I got to mention Reggie Covington.
Hey, Footy.
Hey, man, listen, man. These dudes here, man, you know, I got to mention all of those little brothers, Mark Strobridge, Daddy, and Marky up there in Ohio, man. All of these brothers that are playing, that I'm sad that I was not mature enough when I was younger to be more helpful to them. I tried the best that I could in my maturity. But if I was more mature, I would have been more of a help to them giants. They have giants, man. And these are the proof positive that if you stay with God and stay with your craft, you can fly real high, man. So I could not, man, say or mention those great people right there. Thank you so much for having us today. And to my sister, I love you, Kimbo. You my everything, baby. And thank you for helping me, sweetheart. I love you much.
This is so good. You don't realize, Mustaqim, just by your words and the things that you were saying to those guys, in your apology, or in everything that you expressed, how many people you freed just by doing that. I know preachers who would never do that. I haven't seen it to this day. Oh, wow. And it's kind of scary. But just they just won't, or musicians, other musicians. It takes a bold leader. It takes a courageous person to do what you just did. And
thank you. All glory is to God. All glory to Him. That's real, brother. So thank you, brother Dante. I hope to see you again.
Dude, we have to.
And we got to record, brother, because you sent me something that's really dope, man. But I got something for it. I guarantee that.
We got to, man. We have to. We have to. Well, listen, y'all stay home. Y'all stay on. I'm gonna disconnect from Facebook. Thank you, Facebook, for being with us. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. There's gonna be more to come, and stay tuned. Next Sunday, I'll have Delray Grace and the Amazing Grace praise band on.
Beautiful, brother.
That's gonna be great. I want you all to talk about it and chime in. If you have questions for them, send it my way, and I'll definitely reach out and definitely try to address those questions that you have to them. But I'm so excited for just the platform that has just been presented to me, and I'd have just taken and made what we're doing with it, because I would have probably never met you, Mustaqim, or Kim, and I've been admiring your music for years. And you all are like a big brother, big sister to me. So y'all just get used to me being around, because I
wonderful.
That's right. So stay right there. Thank you, Facebook, for chiming in and being with me. We'll do this again on next Sunday. Thank you all. Y'all stay there. Hold on.